Hello, YouTube. You know, there's a funny thing about the difference between owning and renting, right? When you're an owner and you see this, you go, crap. And when you're a renter and you see this, you go, wow, that contractor did a really crappy job. I'm glad I didn't pay for it. Oh, I could count the ways how this contractor did an amazing job. Now, I'll say this. The repair, visually speaking, is beautiful. It is a beautiful repair. And cosmetics, cosmetics are important in construction, so not for nothing. And I don't know why my screen just will not, it's just too dark. Let me try. Let's try that. No, not much better. Anyways, it's really dark in here and I don't know how to turn on the flash while I'm live. Oh, maybe like that? Oh, okay. So anyways, and this is gonna eat my battery, so I gotta make it kind of quick. Man, still blurry, but you can see, and it's funny, it's actually dripping out the other side right now. But back to the contractor's work, or should I say the contractor's employees' work. You see, people hire quote-unquote, quote, single quotes, maybe double quotes, I don't know, two hands is hard, right? Quote-unquote contractors have their quote-unquote carpenters or employees do the job. So just because you pay $10,000 to a contractor doesn't mean you have a guy with 20 years experience working on your project. You could have a guy with 2 months of experience. Probably contractors are usually, using employees that have more experience. But nevertheless, so this guy had some framing experience. He had some drywall experience, had some painting experience, had some stucco experience. I saw, physically speaking, the AC isn't going to go anywhere. It'll probably, last 9.0 plus earthquake. It's totally secure in there. Problem number one. Problem number one was that I told them that the water dripped from the roof, and they didn't put any you could buy a $10 piece of flashing or a $20 piece of flashing, put it up there, and at least all the water will drip off the roof. How wide is this AC? Get a piece of flashing from here to there, put it up under the awning, have it just kind of tilt out a little bit with the little lip on the bottom so that it drips or whatever. And it won't drip out the back of the goddamn AC, right? Number one, they didn't put any sort of flashing or gutter. Number two, gutter that was installed in the front of the house. Why? We don't really have problems with moisture on the front of the house, although, yeah, I can understand why. They just need gutters on the front and the back, and it's was it really going to be... you're already, having gutters installed. Why not, I don't know, maybe because summer's coming up, but... Anyways. So number three, the unit was installed at a shitty angle. Pardon my French, but the guy they installed it mostly flush to the wall, but it's at just a little bit of it's still sloping towards my room, is the bottom line. Because the guy that installed it is an idiot, which is the other bottom line. I'm sorry, but now I actually did read up on these, okay? And what's really interesting is that it doesn't seem to be universally accepted that the AC should have any sort of significant slope away from the house. Now, and the reason that is because they say on the very bottom there's different channels and drain holes and things of that nature, and because the unit, all the equipment is so tightly compacted, if you start tilting it one way or the other and the water pools up in the wrong place, there might not be as many drain holes in the back. So they're essentially saying they're designed to be put in perfectly horizontal, but they're also not necessarily designed to be rained on. So it's just one of those things where it's the people that make the AC can't do anything about how you install them. They just make the unit and say, here, put it in a wall, but they can't say, make sure you install it right, as we have seen. So So what was it? Number 1, no water remediation. Number 2, or no gutter remediation. Number 2, gutter remediation was in the wrong place. Number 3, AC was mounted at the wrong angle. Number 4, what's number 4? Number 4, the contractor, the manager, owner of the company, maybe not the owner, but at least the person fronting for the company, the one interacting with the clients, didn't come to the, I don't believe came to the job site maybe twice. I think once to look at it before work started to get an idea what's going on, which by the way kind of dropped in like completely unannounced and just knocked on my door like, oh, can I look at this real quick? And I, honestly, I didn't have to let him in. It was not an emergency. Now, if it had been raining, theoretically, the landlord could have said, look, damage to the property is an emergency, let us in, otherwise you're in violation of blah, 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 okay? And I'm not trying to be a difficult tenant, so. But nevertheless, you can't just drop in on a tenant and assume that it's okay to just come inside their apartment and walk around, right? But anyways, so that was like highly unprofessional. I would have been open for it, I just wish I would have had some notice rather than like, oh, I'm right here, let me in, like. You're an idiot. Who does that? You don't just show up at someone's house random as hell on one morning and be like, let me in. But I try to be nice. I didn't give him any attitude. I was just like, all right, give me a minute. Anyways. So he only came by, I think, twice. Like once before the project started. And then the second time was like once. I think he was by a couple times the first day, but it was kind of just like demo that day. Like they kind of took some stuff down, looked at it, and he was talking with him like, oh yeah, they installed it wrong. Let me tell you this, okay? This is a top secret tip. Top secret tip to understand when a professional you're dealing with may or may not be the quality professional you thought they were. This goes for people too, but especially I find it with professionals. If one of their like conversation points during the course of you talking with them about whatever project they're working on is like how bad the last guy or last gal botched the job or how horrible they were, it's not always a good sign. Now, look, I'm not saying that you can't, speak honestly. Like, for example, let's say you're an auto mechanic and somebody takes the car into the shop and, I don't know, maybe they didn't tighten a belt right or a couple bolts are loose or something, I don't know. There's a couple things wrong with the car, right? And you're the mechanic and you see this and you talk to the owner. Now you have the choice of how to interact with the owner. You can say to the owner, wow, that last mechanic was really a dumbass and they screwed everything up and I can't believe you took their car there and I hope you didn't pay him a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. Like, how are you feeling? You're kind of feeling like, wow, it's none of your business how much I paid and you don't really know the mechanic and why are you judging me for my choices in life? Or you can be a little bit more professional and just, say, oh, I noticed a couple things that were safety concerns and I went ahead and took care of them and yada, yada, yada. This is what I think about your car. And, this is what it might cost. We can do it a la carte, all together, whatever. Let me know what you think. And just kind of just bypass the whole thing, right? You don't have to get into the fact that the last guy did it wrong. I'm talking about this right now because this guy, came in, licensed contractor, claimed to, he's going to fix the problem and all this stuff, right? I don't have anything to gain by like him getting not business because this is not like I'm going to, get hired to do this job anyways, right? And most of the people that watch this video would never have hired this contractor anyway. So it's sort of more like a commentary on contractors in general. But anyways, yeah, I was this close to calling him. In fact, he actually came by. This is kind of funny, and you might disagree with how I handled this, but I'll explain it. He came by a couple weeks ago, I think because he subcontracted he found some subcontractors to do the gutters. Like the gutter company wasn't his company or the company he works for. But it was another company. So anyways, he came by after, I guess, to inspect their job after they were done, right? But he didn't come by maybe once while they were doing it to explain, put him here, that's it. But man, you're putting a lot of faith in your people. You know, who knows? Maybe he had to work, maybe he had to, supervise 10 jobs that day, I don't know. But in my opinion, you always, when you're paying people more than $100, if it's feasible, given the situation, you check up on them. Granted, if you give your car to the dealership to work on, you're not necessarily going to go in there and be like hovering over the mechanic. But, if you hire a plumber to go to your house for a day, preferably you would be there during the day. Not like you're worried about necessarily him stealing stuff or her stealing stuff, but just to kind of make sure, things go smoothly. Because not like people are ill-intentioned or they're trying to, waste your time or screw up on purpose, but as the person ordering services in life, you kind of need to be the master of your own destiny. So back to why I didn't tell the contractor that I thought the installation was botched last time I saw him, okay? This is why right here. Because until this happens, what the hell do I know, right? Oh, this guy's some kid, he, hangs... I'm a professional contractor and he hangs curtain rods and he thinks he's going to tell me how to install an AC, right? That's how that goes. And it's all right, Maybe if I was a professional contractor and some handyman said, oh, this job you did is all screwed, I would think he was a punk too. But so I use the tried and true tactic of patience and evidence. At least one of those things I might have picked up from the my previous life as a paralegal. Fun times. Really interesting, I'll say. Kind of a little bit of a stressful job working with attorneys, but it did tend to be interesting, I will say that. So anyways, this bucket is going to be in here, and I gotta be honest, my landlord would love it if I didn't tell him about this, but my neighbor has a ladder, and I might try to go borrow a ladder from my neighbor, even though, I don't really talk to him, but maybe I'll take a little video and say, look, I want to put plastic over this, but I can't reach it, which is the next thing I'll talk about before I go. The AC is actually right out the window, you can kind of tell, and theoretically it would be possible for me to do something incredibly ghetto with broomsticks and ropes and MacGyver and out of a bad sitcom to get some plastic over there. Have sort of a cinch, right? Put the bag over, cinch it, and then tie off the cinch. Maybe 2 half hitches would be good because then they'd be snug. In fact, I like that idea already. Alright, I'm going to come back YouTube and we're going to show you how to put a plastic bag over AC with a hockey stick. Or maybe a 2x4, I don't know. But hang in there, we're gonna get crazy here because it's a, we're having an emergency. Oh, I gotta unplug that bastard too. Oh, alright, we'll be back in a minute.